Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. I'm going to be making a video soon on how to run a business. And it's going to have some graphics, so it might make a little more sense than what I talk about tonight. But what I'm going to be sharing is not only how I've grown a 6-figure side hustle in real estate with rental properties, but I'm going to be sharing how I grew a truck driving school from 6 staff to 60 with 1 location to now 5. Because businesses basically run the same. And when you have real estate properties, when you have rentals, that's a business. And Michael Zuber and I always say, we don't see ourselves as entrepreneurs, we're more investors. So my goal when buying rental properties isn't to create another job. And so when I cover how a rental property business runs, the systems that I talk about are going to explain how with 16 rental units, it takes me about 2 hours a month to self-manage. Amazon has a tenet when it comes to running a business. And I hear this from Justin Cambra, who runs a mastermind group for Amazon on real estate investing. But Amazon's principle is start with the customer first. So when we're looking at a business, and my idea when I make this video is that you'll never be able to look at a business the same again. No matter what business you're looking at. It could be a dentist office, a lawn care company, a YouTube channel. No matter what business you look at, it will fit into this model. And this is actually training I do with the leadership and staff at my trucking company, at my truck school. And it actually helps them understand how that business works. And as an investor, if you can get this business model in your mind to where it's just second nature to see the world this way, your business will run a lot smoother. The idea is when you start with the customer in mind, running a business, you can't have everyone on the planet be your customer. Even Amazon doesn't reach everybody. So you start with all of the humans on the planet. In real estate, you can't buy the whole earth, right? You can only buy so much of it, but you start with the whole planet as your goal. So as a truck driving school, people are our customers. In real estate, the properties that we can buy are going to be our clients, basically. So you start with the whole planet, and then you cycle down. The first thing you do when you're building a business is you start with a funnel. And some businesses will have funnels internal to their systems, but most businesses will have this structure where you have a funnel. And for truck driving school, it goes like this. We can't train people in other continents, so we look at our continent, to our country, to our state, to our county, to people close enough to they can actually find us. So we're not running Google ads in Russia, and we're not running Google ads in other states. We're running a geofencing Google ads system where we're located. So our money is being spent on advertising to impact the people that could actually use our services. Real estate is the same way. I don't have auto searches set up in Russia. So planet, continent, country, state, county, maybe zip code, dial it down to you're funneling down to the properties you're going to look at. And it doesn't have to be where you live. You could be funneling down to an out of state area that you're going to be investing in. So the first thing you do is you funnel down to the area, and then you're going to have a filter. So the first step with a business is to funnel down to who you're going to service. Second, you need to filter out the people you can't service. An example with a truck driving school is if somebody walks in the door and says, I lost my job last night because I just got a DUI and I need to have a career change. This is not the time to get a CDL. So we're going to send them to our nonprofit and help them find a different job. In real estate investing, you've narrowed it down to your area, right? So you've cycled all the way down to the area that you're going to search, whether that's your town or your zip code. In that area, I invest in residential properties, 4 units or less, because I like 30-year fixed rate debt. So I filtered out commercial properties, 5 units or more. I've filtered out storage facilities. My strategy is designed around being lazy. I like to buy rent-ready or already occupied properties. So my original search for properties is not for properties that need a lot of work. So I'm not doing the Burr method. I'm not looking to buy it, do a rehab, rent it out, refinance. I'm looking to buy a property that already has somebody in it, so I don't have to do a lot of work. So I'm looking for properties in a price range. So you talk to a lender to find out how much you can borrow. That tells you the amount your search should be up to. And a tip with searching is I always set it above what I can borrow. So if I was able to borrow $500,000, I would have my auto search set up for $550,000. Right now it's a seller's market and things are on and off the market quick. So you don't really have a chance to do this, but eventually the pendulum will swing back to a buyer's market and things will sit on the market longer. And you might have the opportunity to make an under asking offer and get it accepted. So that's why my search is set up for a little bit more than I can borrow. But I funneled down to my area. I filtered out the types of properties I don't want to invest in. So knowing what you're looking for is key. So you can set up your auto searches for the types of property that you know you're going to be wanting to make offers on. Once you've filtered down to that point, so right now, everything I've talked about running a business, we haven't signed up a customer, we haven't bought a rental yet. All of that work happens before you convert somebody from a potential to a customer. So somebody walking in the door of the truck driving school to get information is a potential client. Your auto searches show you a lot of properties in your area that are probably terrible deals because the sellers want too much, or that needs too much work for what I do, or some other reason why you won't want it. So you're going to filter out before you try to convert it. So from the funnel to your business systems, you have a conversion point. This is where they become your properties. And so after this point, once you have funneled down and filtered out the properties you don't want, you make the offers on the ones that you do. When you get an offer accepted, these order of operations are kind of standard. And I have a video on this channel called Buying a Rental Property Start to Finish. So you have the offer accepted, you have an inspection period. I go look at the property. I decide if I want to keep it or not. That's when I actually make the decision if I want to buy it or not. If I do, then I schedule the inspection. You have a 10-day window. You can shorten to 5 if you want to. Some people waive inspections to make their offer look more attractive, but I don't like that because I haven't even decided if I want the property when I make the offer. I decide if I want it or not when I get to go look at the property. So that's what my inspection period is for. Having the inspector go isn't always going to tell me to continue on with the deal or not. It's going to give me a negotiating tool. They're going to point out all the flaws in the property that I can send back to the seller and say, I either want you to fix this list of things or take this much money off the price. So far, every time the price has been reduced because people are trying to sell to get out of the property. They don't want to do a bunch of work to it just to get rid of it. So after that, you schedule an appraisal. And this is a really weird time because you are hoping that a trained professional will tell you that the property is expensive enough for you to buy. Because in order to qualify for lending, the bank has to be told that the property has enough value based on your offer. After the appraisal comes back, you go and you sign closing documents, and now this becomes your property. After this conversion point, you need systems in place. Running a truck driving school, if I was advertising, enrolling students, training students, doing classroom, doing simulation training, doing field training, then doing job placement, I could handle 3 or 4 students a month. That would be my bandwidth. But since I have office staff and classroom instructors and simulation training and field training instructors, when I sign up students or when I advertise to sign up more students and I grow the company, it doesn't add to my workload. When I add a rental property to my portfolio, it doesn't add to my workload because I have these systems in place. And when I make the video, it will have a lot of detail into how these systems work. But it's small things like I have 2 handymen. In case one's busy, I can get a hold of the other. I set expectations with tenants early on. I tell them how I like to communicate, what constitutes an emergency and what constitutes calling the handyman or sending me an email for something I can handle at a later date. I should only get a call in the middle of the night for water or fire or serious injury. And if it's going to be a phone call, it should be a text because I don't hardly ever answer my phone. So I set those expectations early with strong leases. When you buy a property, if there are tenants that are already there, you are bound by the existing leases, so you can't make changes to the leases right away. If they're month to month, it's a little easier. If you're on my channel, you've probably heard of my binder strategy where I get the tenants to request a rent increase. I don't do those right away. I wait a period of time because I didn't get to screen those tenants. I want to wait a few months to make sure they pay the rent on time. They don't call me for really trivial things. I don't get a lot of noise complaints from the neighbors. Make sure that they're tenants that I want to keep because I didn't get to check their credit score or eviction status or even get to meet them before they were already in the property. I use the Thumbtack app to find contractors, read reviews, get quotes. So that's a simple system for doing repairs and maintenance on these properties. I have a preferred way of being paid or collecting my rents. And so these are all systems. Every month, this is how the rents are going to work. All of my bills are automated, so I'm not physically writing checks or making payments whenever possible, to where it's very simple to collect those rents. I use automated ways that don't take me going to the bank, that leave an electronic paper trail. So we've funneled down, filtered out, converted the ones that we wanted. We have systems to operate them so that we're motivated to want to grow our business. Every time I add a rental property to my portfolio, it increases my cash flow. With 16 rental units, it takes me about 2 hours a month to manage those properties. My goal is to keep it as close to 2 hours as possible. If the portfolio gets too big, or I decide that even 2 hours is too much, I can eventually hire a property manager. And for a period of time, I would be managing the property manager. So it's not like it's going to eliminate those 2 hours every month. It's just going to change the type of work that I'm doing until that property manager knows my systems. To get these systems and to get these searches set up, you need to know your exit strategy. If you're doing a flip, you're going to look for a specific type of property that needs work. If you're doing the BRRRR, you're going to look for certain properties that need work. If you're doing wholesaling, you're looking for properties where you can make a profit when you sell it to the next person. I do buy and hold real estate investing. My goal is to hold the properties until I die, which means my exit strategy is putting the properties in a trust so that my heirs don't have to pay a massive tax, depending on what happens with the stepped up tax system, because people always talk about that going away. Basically, that resets the value of the property when they inherit it, because of the depreciation that's happened and appreciation, so that they don't have to pay a huge capital gains tax when they get the properties. That's my exit strategy. So if you know your exit strategy, you can work your way backwards to know what your systems are going to be, because flipping strategies are very different than buy and hold strategies. My goal is to not need to do a rehab, and a flipper is going to want to be able to add value to the property. You can set your searches up better if you know what your end goals are. If your end goal is to own storage facilities because you don't want to deal with actual living tenants on the property, then you're going to look for a different type of property. If you're going to invest at a distance, you know what areas to look for. So that's basically how a business works, from looking at the whole planet down to the things that you're going to go for and how you're going to exit the program. When I make that video, I'll put it on this channel, and like I said, it's going to have a lot more detail. It's going to be kind of a serious video because it's instruction format, kind of the way I teach the staff at my school. And since it's so serious, at the end of that video, I am going to do something silly. I can't talk about it here because I don't know who's watching, but I will do it in that video.